Everyone, welcome in. It's Julie Maxon, the main stamper. I am here for your Thursday at 3, and I am on time today. I'm so excited to be on time. I'm also very excited to share a gorgeous Christmas card with you. So make sure you say hi as you're popping on. I'd love to know who's watching. I also want to see that first person tell me that my sound and my video are good to go. I love when you guys help me out that way. So we are going to work on Fragrant Forest. It is a gorgeous stamp set. We've been working with it all week, and a lot of you have fallen in love with this stamp set because a lot of you are also ordering this stamp set, and I'm really excited. It is absolutely fantastic. So I'm really so glad that you found some inspiration from my card class on Monday. And if you missed my card class on Monday, you can go back and watch it on replay. I have that on my Facebook page and on YouTube. So there's a couple places that you can see that, and you can check out the gorgeous cards that we have made already. Now, if you're on my email newsletter list, you have the card recipe for this fantastic card. And it is a pretty fantastic card. Hi, Patty. Thanks for saying hello. So this is our card today. Now, it is very similar. If you were at my Christmas stamp camp, a few of you were, then you already know how this fun fold works. It looks like a basic normal card. Actually, I have a Post-it note with some sketch information on the back. So I'm going to take that. This is the back. This is the front. You're like, well, what's fancy and fun about that, right? So this is amazing because when you open it up, it's like some people call it a squeeze box, some people call it an accordion, and this is what it looks like opened up. So this white panel right here is holding two individual card sections together, and then it folds back up so nicely. Isn't that awesome? So I have another variation to share with you as well. It is the sparkling snowflakes that we actually did at my Christmas stamp camp. Hi Jess, hi Jackie, hi Lori. Okay, we're good to go. I'm going to pop us over to my workspace so we can get going on this great card. Okay. So again, this is a gorgeous card. It is absolutely gorgeous. I didn't pop us over there, did I? Look, hi, you guys can still see me. This is a faux pas. So I actually step aside to my workspace after I hit the transition button, which I'll do now. There we go. Okay, so that would have been a horrible live if I had done the whole thing and you were trying to watch me from across the room. You can't really see my workspace when I'm standing in front of my computer on the other side. So this is our card. It says Merry Christmas. It's got the Fragrant Forest stamp design on it, which is gorgeous, right? And again, when you open it, it just has that really fun fold, just like this. And it also sits up really nicely. So it's got, you can't see it this way, obviously, but it's got a very wide stance, and it is absolutely gorgeous. So this is all the parts and pieces that we're going to be using today. We're going to do a little scoring as well. Now, with the card recipes that I send, I do have a whole bunch of pictures that are going to help you out. And we're going to talk about them through the video as well. So you can just jot down some notes if you need to. We're going to use that while we're going along. But let's take a look at sparkling snowflakes. We're going to compare these really quickly before we get into the making of the card. This is the front, so I used the punch. I used the beautiful papers. This one obviously says Winter Greetings. And then this one is a little bit different. Again, different papers on the inside. I took advantage of that sparkling snowflake punch. And so we did things a little bit differently. Now for this one, it's a little bit simpler. So you can see the differences here of the two. Obviously fun shiny papers, right? But you can dress them up however you want. You can get as fancy and as full as you want, but they fold flat. They're fantastic cards, and I'm really excited to share these with you. Now, we did talk about the Fragrant Forest. We've been talking about it all week. In fact, our first two cards from our class on Monday, I shared this beautiful card. We use Wink of Stella on it, which kind of does make those trees look a little bit 3D. I showed you how to make more of a bow, a faux bow, and more of a swoosh with your ribbon, so you can do either of those. Then I did a color swap, and I changed the paper. Now this designer series paper, front and back, they're different. So I mean, it's the same piece of paper. They're different because I flipped it over. So one side has the gray music notes, the other side has this. It's quite a busy pattern, but some people liked it, some people weren't sure that they liked it. I did change the color of the trees so that it would be a little bit more cohesive with my color palette, and I added in some red. So this one is definitely more Christmassy, but it's just that simple to take a recipe, right? Change it up. This is the one that I did for playing with blues and purples, and you can kind of see this one has a lighter ridge. This one I got really dark with the colors. The starry paper in the background just makes it absolutely gorgeous. I did try some different colored gems as well. It's always fun to play and kind of have a look at those. For the last one here, we've got the Merry Christmas, And this one, again, the paper is the opposite side. So this little holly paper right here, this little kind of berry and sprig paper, on the opposite side, it's just plain green. Some people liked the tone on tone, just basic. Some people liked the brightness of the fancier designer series paper. So that's a look at some of the cards that we did during our card class this week. And now we're going to jump into this great one with the Fragrant Forest. So again, we're going to be making this card. So this is what we've got. We've got a 4 1/4 by 10 inch piece of white. This is going to be the scored section of our card. So we're going to score that together at 2.5 inch intervals. I do have some punches going on for this one, and then we don't have any die cutting. So this is a really nice card. You can make this with whatever you have at home. We have basically a card base here. This would be a full card base. If these were adhered together, you would open this up. It's the full card base. It's 4 1/4 wide, 5.5. Both of these are the same. They're going to form the front and back panels of our card, and they are separate. So that's kind of a weird thing, right? Because they're not together, but they're separate. For the rest of the card, we're going to get fancy with some of this beautiful paper, and I just kept with the golds and the greens. I did already punch this with the Pick-a-Punch, the Banners Pick-a-Punch, which is one of my favorites. I really love this one that you can just pop in there and get your banners. I already did that part just to speed things along a little bit, but I will be using the circle punches as well. So maybe let's get the punching out of the way real quickly, because we're actually going to punch this paper before it goes onto our card front. We're taking advantage of the fact that we're going to have a layer here. We want the 2 inch circle punch for this one. So you're just going to take some cardstock, and this is a great thing to do with beautiful paper that you just don't want to waste putting a whole big layer behind. So I'm just coming up high enough so that I have the edging here for my next layer. No one knows that I punched a couple of circles out of here. So I'm going in basically as far as my punch will allow me, making sure I'm not overlapping in the middle, because that would be not good either, right? So you've got just the teeniest little overlap, and does not this look like kind of like your electric outlets? So I just, it's kind of funny that way. We're going to use these on the inside, so I'm going to set those aside. And we are going to, I'm actually just going to punch out the 2 circles in white with 1 3/4. So you just need a scrap for that. So a couple of those will be beautiful. We are going to stamp on these. Let me slide those across the room here a little bit and move my circle punches out of the way. So now we're all done with the punching, and we're going to actually start the assembly process because it is so simple. And then we're going to get to our stamping of our trees. So again, this paper is very fancy foily, and obviously one-sided, right? We wouldn't want the white side up. We want the pretty side up. Now, it doesn't matter which piece of the green you start with because it's the exact same size, but we're just going to layer this on here just like we're matting those layers on our card front. And when we get done with our trees, we're going to put this over top of it. And just like that, we're going to see that gold mat all the way around, and no one knows we chunked out some things in the middle. So that's a handy tip in case that is something that you want to try to do. Let's do, let's sort of scoring and get that out of the way, because, that's probably where the worst case scenario could happen today. I'm not saying it's the only worst case scenario, but it could be the worst case scenario. I'm going to make sure my trimmer is in view. We're going to put the paper in the long way. This should be 4 1/4 by 10. And we're going to score it at 2.5 inch intervals. So the first one I'm going to do is at 2.5. Scoring blade on this trimmer is the lighter one. The cutting is the darker. We're going to scooch over to 5. So we got 5 inches. And then you can do 7.5, which is the next 2.5 plus 5 is 7.5. And then obviously the end is going to just be the end. So we have scored that successfully, but we're going to make sure we've scored it successfully by burnishing and kind of bending in our creases just to make sure everything's nice and even here. So let me bring in my bone folder here, and I'm just going to separate them out real quick, give them a quick swipe, and we're going to get all these, beautiful. Now, if you're paying attention, and it's like if you're trying to make kind of almost like a gatefold card, these would actually meet in the middle. And I think I like that, so I might keep that idea in mind. Okay, so on this lovely piece, this is the inside. Again, I'm going to pop this open so you can see the inside right here. So this is what we've got right here. So I have a couple of panels of this beautiful gold, almost like a wood grain designer series paper. Now you can get creative with this. obviously lots of different colors and patterns. You can put these snug to the ends. I like to leave just a little bit of a matted look here on each end of this. So in the directions, this tells you to put your small DSP layers here on the first and last sections that are scored on the white, and that's just what this is right here. So the first and last sections. So we've got score lines in between. Okay, so easy peasy. And while we're gluing some stuff and feeling confident about gluing, let's just do this real quick. We're going to bring in our panels of green. This is Shaded Spruce. This is the front. We're going to flip it over, and we're going to put a beautiful panel of this gold and green on the back side of this. So again, I'm going to leave a little bit of a layer here, kind of to the side, just like this. Okay, so this is the side, this is the side, right? So here we have this right here, and I'm going to bring this piece in, and again, there's really no front and back. You can decide, and I'm going to add this designer series paper over here, again leaving that little bit of an edge. You could go all the way to the end if you wanted to, but I just like to have that little bit of interest where there's just enough, almost like another matte look. Okay, so here are the bones of our cards. I like to talk about the bones a lot. So as you can see, we would put these together, and it's going to hold these two panels together. Again, this is going to be the front, and now we're going to do some stamping. So let me set some things aside, and we are going to stamp our big background tree. I'm only using one color of ink for this card, so it is really nice to keep things a little simple sometimes. And because I have a larger piece, I know on Monday I shared that I was using different sections of this stamp. I was focusing on maybe this section or this section. For this one, we have a pretty good size piece, and I really want the middle. So you can see when I put my white cardstock on this background stamp, it really almost takes up the entire stamp. So I'm going to be very generous with the ink everywhere. So on Monday, when I was just using partial trees, I didn't need to worry about getting the ink everywhere. But for this one, we're just going to ink this up. And I love how these trees just look so gorgeous. You could probably use them in multiple colors. So just like last week when I did my card class, I'm leaving my stamp facing up and I'm layering my paper down on it. I'm going to keep my finger on one side and kind of just focus on getting one edge down, and then I'm going to let go and put the other one down. So you don't want to wiggle that, as I mentioned on Monday. I'm just grabbing a scrap paper here, and we're going to move this out of the way. And we're just going to press down here. Now you can press with your hands. You can come in with your bone folder if you want to and kind of go over top of this paper. Just make sure you're getting to the outside edges, because the outside edges, I have noticed, are the hardest parts. If you don't apply enough pressure to the outside edges, that's where your ink doesn't transfer to the paper. So we should be good to go. Your excess will be on your paper, so make sure it really is a scrap paper that you don't care about. And I'm going to just carefully peel it up. And I absolutely love these greens. They're so gorgeous. So there is our Shaded Spruce little grove here. So as you can see from my original card, this is just going to go on here flat. So I'm going to add some adhesive to the back of this, and we're going to mat it to our gold piece that has funny little holes in it that, again, no one's going to know there was holes in there. So that's a good way to get more use out of your paper, right? Rather than just hide it behind mats and mats, which I tend to do. Look at how beautiful, and we've got that great gold frame, and I feel less guilty about using this whole big piece of gold paper because I was able to snag some stuff from the inside. Now on these little circles right here, we are going to be, let me bring in my scrap again because I might be a little messy here. We're going to use, again, the Shaded Spruce ink, and we're going to do a sentiment. Tidings of Comfort and Joy just fits in here, but it is pretty snug. So I'm going to try my best to get it in here and peel it off, and that I kind of cut off Tidings and Comfort. Let's try this again. So we've got some magical two-sided paper here. We're going to go a little bit further this way. We're going to come across a little bit, and that one is better. So you can see that that's a much better image of our sentiment. So that's going to go on that one. And now on this other one, I have this little pine bough stamp. So I'm going to go ahead and just stamp it once, and then I'm going to right away stamp it again, just off a little bit. Same ink. and it just gives you that two-tone effect. And I learned that from the girls at my stamp camp. They were doing that on the inside of one of their cards, and I thought that was absolutely gorgeous. So I said, oh, I have got to try that. I love learning these great things from everybody. I mean, we share so many great ideas. It just, I'm not sure who started it, but man, I sure did love it. So we have an outside sentiment, and again, our Merry Christmas are two different stamps. So I'm going to do Christmas first, and on this banner piece, I'm going to put the Christmas toward the bottom, because I want to fit Merry toward the top. Now I've noticed that sometimes when you pick up a stamp with a photopolymer, they stick. The stamp sticks to the paper, and then sometimes the paper gets a little wiggly, and then it gets kind of, it gives you a shadow. So I've noticed that if I take my Take Your Pick tool, you could probably use a bone folder, and put it underneath the clear block and hold down the paper and lift up your stamp, you're not going to get that, that little kind of mess when you pick up your paper and the stamp is still stuck. Now for the Christmas, I can hold my paper down. I have enough room here to put my finger on here so that when I pick Merry up, it's not going to stick to the paper. So there is my Merry Christmas, and that's a little tip that I just kind of discovered in my craft room after I got a little frustrated that my paper was sticking, the stamp was sticking to the photopolymer stamp was sticking. I'm trying to make words, and I don't know if it's making sense. But if you use photopolymer stamps, you'll probably kind of know what I'm talking about, how they just kind of pull up while you're still, you know, the ink is wet, and then it'll smudge. So we don't want the smudgy. So if you can sneak in there with a bone folder or Take Your Pick tool, that's been a lifesaver for me. So I'm just gluing those down really simply, and I'm going to put these right into the middle sections here. Now, of course, you could just stamp directly on here. You could use other things. In my first card that I showed you, we used the tag topper punches, and then we had extra paper. So whatever you feel like layering in here, this isn't, again, keep in mind, these are 2.5 inch wide sections. So you can't go too big with your punches or die cuts, but you could certainly fit other things in just like that, right? And then when we fold it up, it's beautiful. I have kept everything flat because it will be easier to work with. So let us talk about how we're going to put these two pieces. Let's talk about how we're going to put all these pieces together, right? So I'm going to flip this one over. This is my front. Flipping it this way. This is the back, right? So flipping it this way. Here's my insert. I'm going to close this up. Now this is the side right here that I want to adhere to the side, and this is the side that I want to adhere to the side. So again, closing it up. So I'm going to put some adhesive here on this side, and I'm going to line it up on this one. Again, this is my front. And I'm going to put it all the way to the bottom, but I'm going to leave a little bit of room on the right side edge, but all the way to the bottom. And that's to help to keep this, to give it some legs so it can stand up. So I'm putting it all the way to the bottom. That is the most important thing I want you to remember. There will be a test later. The test will be, where does it go? And your answer will be all the way to the bottom. And I'm going to pick this up for just a second. It is all the way down here. That's where you want it, okay? All the way to the bottom. So as you can see, I have one side secured now to this panel. So to secure this one to this panel, the easiest way to do this is to, again, put on your adhesive, because this is what's getting glued down. And we're gonna make a little sandwich. So this is where you get hungry and you make a sandwich. So this needs to fold over this way, just like that, right? This is the back. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hold this down with my finger, and I'm gonna line this piece up so that the greens are pretty much evenly, perfectly like a card base, right? So I'm just kind of wiggling it back and forth here. Love the green glue, a little bit of wiggle room. So this green is perfectly on top of the front green. And if it's not perfect, you know, that's okay too. But it's as close as it's going to get without being a manufactured card. So I'm just holding this on here for a second so that that adhesive will adhere. And when I open it, we have it's attached to both sides. And it's beautiful. And then also, it's also pretty even. So if I were to show you this side of it, it's got, you know, the sides on the back there, a little bit of space, but it's gorgeous. And of course, you could use this back space as well to do some more, another sentiment or write your wishes. But we're going to continue with this right now. I'm going to glue together. I'm going to add a little bit of glue here. We're going to glue these two pieces together. We're going to put the Merry Christmas on top of the gold banner. They are different size widths, which is really nice, right? And then we're going to add Oh, we're gonna add some trim here. This is the Simply Elegant trim. It is in the annual catalog, and you actually get gold and silver. I have them separated right now because I took silver to my stamp camp and I haven't put it away yet. But it does come in 1 spool of silver and 1 spool of gold, and it's really nice. I mean, simple trim. We're gonna just go ahead and take about 18 inches of trim, which seems like a lot until you start working with it, and then it's not a lot anymore. We're going to bring in some tear and tape, and we're going to find the end of it, which is probably more over here. Okay, let's see if this is enough tear and tape. This is what we're going to do. We're going to put some tear and tape on the back of our beautiful little sentiment, our sentiment layers here, and I'm going to just peel this off. And this is always the trickiest part, right? So I've got this beautiful little tape on here. So I'm just going to catch an end here, and we're just going to kind of catch an end here. We're going to repeat that step. We're catching an end, and we're just going to kind of swoosh it up and around and over and just kind of attempt to make it look like we have all kinds of loopy things happening here. Now, I'm not going to play with this for hours. I probably could play. I mean, you know how it is, right? You're like, oh, wait, that one's too big. I could come back this way maybe and get a smaller one here and here. But you're getting the idea that we're basically adding the loopies on the back on the tape. And then I'm going to bring in some dimensionals, and we are going to add some dimensionals in here. Now, I haven't flipped this over. I have no idea what this looks like on the other side. Hopefully it looks okay. And if it doesn't, after I'm done filming this, I will probably take it apart and adjust. But we're going to just continue on. So I'm just putting in some dimensionals here, and this is just going to go right onto my card front. Just like that. In the past, I have done the tape on the card front and then tried to swoosh it around. But I like to try different things sometimes. I see other demonstrators doing different things, and I'm like, okay, let me give that a whirl. Let's see how that works. I think that these are all like extremely too all over the place. But anyway, you get the idea. This is going to be fun though. We're going to put this on here. You're just going to decide where it looks prettiest on your card. And then you can see from my first sample, I took my time and really looped things nicely. This was just kind of like a, well, we're just winging it here. We're going to quickly throw this on here. I could probably rework some of these little loopies. I'm not the happiest with them, but they are cool. They are pretty nice. They give us a nice little gold sheen there. And again, it's just a really fun fold, and it was not a hard fold. There's not a lot of extra paper here that you would, use from a regular card. Here again is another look at this winter sparkling snowflake one. In case you have some of these papers and things at home, you can use your recipe and change it up and use different colors and different themes and all of those good things. So there we go. That was our fun fold today. Now this one did take a little bit longer. There was a lot of steps here that needed to be done. Hi, Rhonda. And Jess, thank you guys for loving the tips. Hi, Sandra. I missed what DSP that came from. This is the Joyful DSP. I don't know if I have any. Stand by, please. Stand by, please. I have it right here. It is the Joyful. It is the pack. It's in the mini catalog. It has the red, these little red musical notes. It has the gold. It's beautiful paper. It has, and I didn't use the reds, it has these little like sprig type papers. It's all shiny and pretty. And then of course it has the green, which I've chopped up quite extensively. So this is how I kind of store my little bits. I put them in these little sleeves. So there's the green in here too, if you can see that. But those are the 4 patterns. It is the Joyful DSP, and it is item number 161980 in the mini catalog. I love this paper. Thanks, Jess, for loving the card. That is so awesome. All right, so hopefully you guys all enjoyed this card today and you enjoyed this. I've already done a color swap. Technically, this is my color swap. It's my color swap from the original Snowflake card. So that is a look at our fun fold for today. I was so excited to bring this to you. And I think it was my wow card at my stamp camp. I think everyone that was at camp, I always ask, what's your favorite card? And a lot of people really like the Snowflake card because it was that concertina accordion. There's all kinds of names for it, but it is a lot of fun. Now remember, if you get my newsletter, you have this card recipe. You have this entire paper in your email. You have to open the entire email, scroll down. There's a black button that you can click for the card recipe, and you can save it, print it, do whatever you like with it. I send you those fun folds every Thursday. If you need to get onto my email newsletter, you can check out my blog. I have information there, or you can just ask me. I think there's a link in my YouTube video as well. All right, thanks everybody. Sandra, you're so welcome. I'm glad that you could see this card with me today. I will catch you guys on Monday. We'll be back for another fun fold. Karen's excited. She ordered. Karen, I'm going to bring this card to work tomorrow so you can check it out. This is a really pretty card. So, okay, everybody, that's it for me for today. Enjoy the rest of the day. And until next time, stay inspired, create something beautiful, and share the love. Bye.